Some people have really weird obsessions with feet. I don't understand it. It makes me kind of uncomfortable. Do I even want to know why family members are obsessed with each other's feet? I don't know if I do. Happy apple picking day! I know we do this every week, but just for our new friends, a quick recap if you have no idea what I'm talking about. Every Tuesday, we have a new episode of Am I the Bad Apple, where people send in stories to my subreddit, r/Am I the Bad Apple, with situations where they don't know if they acted appropriately or not. They want to know if they were the good apple, the bad apple, or the crab apple. We pick 4 every week, we read them, and we kind of form our own opinions. Because we all come from different branches of the apple tree, we all have our own experiences and therefore perspectives. So we may not always agree, and that is okay. We discuss in the comments, and sometimes you guys teach me things, sometimes I teach you guys things, sometimes we teach each other things in a civil manner. Yes, that's a requirement. So without further ado, let's get started with this week's episode of Am I the Bad Apple? Let's go apple picking! Apple number 1. Am I the bad apple for uninviting my best friends to my wedding? I'm getting married soon, so of course I've chosen a best man. He invited my best friends to the bachelor party, of course. 3 out of 5 of my best friends won't be coming, even though they said yes 14 days ago. I think they have really poor excuses for it. I knew that if it was their bachelor party, I would drop everything to participate. I would never miss it, but I kind of feel like if they can't even bother to come to the bachelor party, I don't really want them to come to the wedding. I hate the feeling of expecting them to come because I can't expect people to drop everything for me. That's just unfair. But on the other hand, I know that if it was them holding something, I would be the first to say yes and actually show up. I just don't feel like they appreciate me as much as I appreciate them, which makes me kind of sad because I thought I could count on them. They're supposed to be some of my best friends. So I just need to know. Would I be the bad apple if I uninvite my best friends to my wedding? I want to preface this with something, okay? I say all the time that you can invite whoever you want to your wedding and that you don't have to have people there just because they expect to be there. Like, I understand that I say that all the time. This, to me, is a completely different story. And there's a few layers, so we're gonna take them one by one. First of all, again, you can invite whoever you want to your wedding. But you have to understand that if you don't invite someone to your wedding, that may be a defining factor in your relationship, either for the better, most likely for the worst. If you uninvite someone from your wedding, you have to understand that will 100% change your relationship for the worse. And when it comes to things like friendships breaking and people stabbing each other in the back, I'm all for you standing up for yourself and cutting those people loose and saying, like, actually, I don't want you there on my big day. I don't think that is this situation. They didn't do anything to you. They just can't go to your bachelor party. And you didn't even list why. You said,
well, I think they have poor excuses for it.
You didn't list those excuses, and that tells me everything that I need to know. I feel like, not that this is the case, but in my experience, when I've heard someone say,
oh, well, they have a poor excuse not to show up to something.
Usually the excuse is, I have plans with my family, or I can't afford it, or something along those lines. And I'm not saying that this is the case because he didn't say, so I don't want to make an assumption. I don't really think it's fair to take something happening in other people's lives and just being like, you know what? I don't think that what you have going on is important. Who knows why these friends didn't go to the bachelor party, but who are you to decide that whatever they have going on in their life just isn't as important as people spending exuberant amounts of money on you having fun? Because that's really what a bachelor and bachelorette party is, right? It's your friends spending a bunch of money on you going on a free trip and being spoiled. And I'm not saying that I'm against bachelor and bachelorette parties, okay? I'm the maid of honor in one of my best friend's weddings, and I'm literally in the process of planning her bachelorette this week. Let me tell you, we're gonna have fun, and I will happily throw all of my money at her. But we also have a few friends who can't make it, whether someone's having a baby and is gonna be very pregnant by then, and she does not need to be traveling, or someone who has family things going on who just can't be gone that week that's okay. Like, to me, it feels so selfish to have someone define their friendship by something as materialistic and trivial as a bachelor party. Like, I think a friendship should be determined by how you're there for each other as people, not how much money you spend on each other. Like, is that what you're really mad about? That you can't do more fun things because less people are gonna be there to contribute monetarily? Because that's what it feels like to me. I've been in a lot of weddings and I've been to a lot of bachelorette parties, and I've never seen someone genuinely upset when someone wasn't able to go to a bachelorette party. Because that's not what friendship is about. Friends understand when other friends have things going on. And I'm having a hard time not seeing you being upset about this as a not materialistic temper tantrum. Now, if someone else sees it differently, like, please let me know in the comments. Let me know if I'm missing something, but I think it's pretty juvenile to be that upset about a bachelor party. Now, on the completely separate note, you're willing to end your friendships over this?
Well, I just don't know how comfortable I feel with them being at my wedding.
Excuse me? I'm not understanding at all how those two would be related at all. Am I missing something? Am I crazy? If you're going to uninvite your friends to your wedding, first of all, you have to know you will not be friends after that. My brother-in-law is actually getting married this fall, right? And I'm a bridesmaid. And my future sister-in-law had her bachelorette party during VidCon. I had to go for work purposes to VidCon. Not only is that my job, but I'm the only income for our house. So like it matters, you know, I have to put my job first. I was not able to go and no one cared because that's not what it's about. Like, your wedding is supposed to be about you and your partner uniting together in front of everyone that you love, not about a bachelor party. Like, that's not the event of the wedding. A lot of people don't even have them. Like, I had a bachelorette party, but Avery didn't because he just doesn't care about that stuff. Like, he wasn't interested in having one. And that's fine. I would never want a friend in my life who would act this way. And if this guy is willing to end friendships over people not being able to go to his bachelor party, then he's not really their best friend. So I definitely think this guy is selfish and materialistic and a groomzilla. So I'm gonna go bad apple. And you know what, maybe there's something that I'm missing because I just am not about that kind of stuff. So if there's a perspective or something that I'm not understanding, feel free to let me know in the comments. But this is not the kind of person that I would want in my circle. Apple number 2. Am I the bad apple for laughing at my brother's tattoo? My 32 male little brother, 25 male, has been in a string of relationships since he was young enough to know what dating was. On several occasions, the relationships ended because he was caught cheating with other girls. In fact, his current girlfriend, 19 female, was the other woman from his previous relationship. My little brother still lives with my parents, and I was heading over there for the 4th of July barbecue. When he reached out for a hug, I noticed his arm was super red, and he showed me his brand new tattoo that he'd just recently gotten. In huge words, it said loyalty in cursive letters. Where I might be the jerk is that I let out a big chuckle as soon as I saw it, and I didn't even try to hide it. He said, "What's so funny?" And I said, "That tattoo's really ironic." He got pissed and stormed off to his room and didn't join my parents and I and our sister for dinner. I told them what happened and they said that I was being a jerk, and my sister said that people are allowed to change. I personally think that he's acting like a child, locking himself in his room, and that I shouldn't be blamed for a 25-year-old storming off, but maybe they were right. I don't know. Was I the bad apple? I know what I think is right. I'm trying to make sure that's what I would have also done myself if I was in that situation. Here's what I mean by that. Part of me really wants to teeter between good apple and crab apple. It's always been my philosophy that I think it's really important to like encourage people to change from previous bad behaviors. You know, it's one of the reasons that I really hate cancel culture, because I think that depending on what it is that they're being canceled for, like I'm not doing an absolute statement because there are some things that you just can't come back from, but depending on what it is, I think that absolutely just canceling people keeps them from being able to grow and move on and do better in the future. So if my little brother was the brother in question, which by the way, he would never, Ethan is a complete golden retriever, but if he had that kind of past, I would want to encourage him to grow and do better and treat women with respect, which again, he does. I'm using this as a hypothetical. I trained my brother very well growing up. Whoever he marries is gonna be the luckiest lady out there. But that being said, for a person to actually be able to learn and grow and move on, they have to take accountability. And I don't feel like the brother in the story is doing that, so I feel a little better going good apple. Because I don't think the OP in this scenario is keeping them from growing and is holding them in this box and like,
Oh, you will never do better. You'll only be this, blah, 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 blah.
I'm reading it as they're chuckling because the brother still hasn't accepted that he's been in the wrong for these past actions. And you know, if that's the case, I'd probably do the same thing. Now, if the brother came back and was like, look, I know I made some mistakes in the past. I want to do better. I got this tattoo as a reminder to not do that anymore, like to be a better person. Then I might go crabapple if OP was still giving them a hard time, but he didn't. He had a temper tantrum and went and sulked in his room because he got called out. Which is very odd behavior for a 25-year-old to do. I'm 27, right? My brother is 24 and would never. That's just very immature. And it also really bothers me that he's 25 with a 19-year-old girlfriend. And I know people in the comments are gonna be like, well, she's legal, it's allowed, blah, 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 blah. There's just a difference. Like, there's different stages in your 20s. Where you are in life is just so different. Your mentality, your everything. I'm 27. I can't imagine being with someone just getting out of college. I can't. I'm not saying it's gross. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying it's not for me. I know some people in the comments are gonna be like,
Well, that's what I'm doing right now, and I'm offended, blah, blah, blah.
just because I wouldn't be in that same kind of relationship doesn't mean you have to do what I'm telling you to do. I'm allowed to not want to date someone that much younger than me. People are allowed to have different lifestyles and things like that. Like, you're okay just because I wouldn't do the same thing as you. You're fine. But anyways, I'm rambling because it's a weird day. I'm going stir crazy because I'm on antibiotics and I'm just rambling. We're gonna go good apple. I'm gonna stop talking and move on now. Apple number 3. Am I the bad apple for creating a GoFundMe to raise money for a vacation? To make a long story short, I was scammed by a family friend out of the savings I was using to take my little brother to Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party at Magic Kingdom. I came up with this idea of creating a fundraiser on GoFundMe to help. Then my mom scolded me when I shared it on Facebook. She told me that I should just buck up and save the money again, but I don't think that's fair. I was scammed. That's not my fault. I just don't understand what's so wrong to ask for help. Like, isn't that what GoFundMe is for? For people to be able to read a situation and decide if they want to give money for that? Am I the bad apple? Okay, this is one where I think people will have different opinions than me, but I'm just very passionate about this. I cannot stand when people use GoFundMes for non-emergencies. It bothers me, okay? It bothers me. I understand people can spend money on things that they want to spend. I get that. It's just a personal pet peeve of mine, okay? And I get your friend scammed you out of money, or I hope ex-friend. That's what suing someone in civil court is for, okay? I would sue them, get your money back. If you were really scammed, sue them, win, and also sue them for the court cost. You won't be out any money. Get it back and then go take your brother. But I just do not like when people create GoFundMes for those kinds of things. And I'm guessing that your mom has a similar opinion. And I say that because I've just seen so many people, especially content creators, make GoFundMes with this idea of like,
Well, if everyone just gave $1.
no, that's not other people's job. Like, I don't like it. It bothers me. It feels gross. And I know not everyone thinks this way, but for me, like, my philosophy when it comes to content creation and things like that is that it's not my followers' jobs to like support my lifestyle monetarily. Is that the right grammar? I don't even know. Like, for me, I make the content and I think the apps should provide incentives for me to make content on their apps, and I would get paid by the apps and the platforms. I don't even really push my merch store because like I don't want my followers spending money. I don't like it. And that has nothing against content creators who do things like that, whether it's like Patreon or memberships or anything like that. Like, I don't hold anything against people who do that. That's just not my style, especially when so much of my content for so long has been like, these people are underappreciated, underpaid. That would just be weird of me to then turn around and be like, that'll be $9.99 to watch me be dumb at home. You know what I mean? Now, I haven't done a lot of research. Like, I've never really used it before, but I am under the impression that GoFundMe was created to help people really experiencing emergencies, whether someone ended up very ill and sick, or their house caught on fire. I've seen a lot of those. Or a family member passed away, something like that. Those are emergencies. I don't see Mickey's Halloween party as an emergency, so I just personally don't like seeing those. So I'm going to go, like, I want to go bad apple, but I feel bad because I'm like, I don't think you're trying to harm anybody, but it just feels like taking advantage of a system that was put in place to really help those in need. And again, I know the people in the comments, well, people can choose what they want to spend money on, blah, 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 blah. I get that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to go bad apple and let you guys in the comments try to flip me. Yeah, and I think you can. I think you could flip me to crab apple, but my starting point is bad apple, because I just don't agree with that kind of stuff. May the odds be ever in your favor. Apple number 4. Am I the bad apple when my brother-in-law's obsessed with my feet? I was in the car with my family and some extended family, and we were all driving home together. I was wearing high heels all day long, so my feet were killing me by the time we were on our way, so I took them off in the car and sat cross-legged on the seat. My feet weren't touching anybody, but my brother-in-law sitting next to me turned it into a big deal because apparently my feet are gross to him. He told me to put my feet down and put my shoes on. I refused, of course. I mean, he can't tell me what to do, so he claimed that my feet stunk. That's a blatant lie. He did eventually back down on me putting my shoes back on, but he still wanted me to take my feet off the seat. Nobody else had an issue with how I was sitting, and it wasn't my brother-in-law's car, so I got annoyed and I said, you can walk if you have a problem with my feet being on the seat. I mean, let's be honest. He was probably just trying to embarrass me at that point. I think I really made him mad with the walking comment, because he just started arguing with me even more and was getting louder and louder about it too. It got to the point where my husband and mother-in-law had to tell him to shut up. I think there's no way that he should have been able to tell me what to do. And again, it's not his car. Plus, everyone told him at the time that he needed to shut up. Not me. But later on, my husband told me that I should have just done it and that I let it continue on to a bigger problem. I said, you didn't think it was a big problem in the moment. But now I'm just wondering, was I the bad apple? So I guess in the world there are two kinds of feet problems. People who hate feet and think they're super uncomfortable, and other people that are in my DMs and don't understand that I'm ignoring you on purpose. Anyways, as someone who clearly sits cross-legged a lot of the time, I think it's really rude to like have your feet up on the seat next to someone who clearly doesn't like feet. Like, I feel like everyone has a thing when it comes to hygiene. Like, I am really weird about my bed. Outside clothes do not go in my bed. I have to shower before I get into my bed. Every night, I don't care what I did. I don't care if I stayed home all day. I must be clean getting into bed. When I travel and I'm in a hotel and like our friends are hanging out in each other's rooms, I desperately do everything I can to make sure no one is in my room, because I don't want people in their outside clothes on my bed. That is my weird hygiene thing, okay? I don't like sleeping in other people's beds. I don't want other people in my bed. It's my thing. I know it's weird. It's still my thing. Some people are like that about feet. They don't like feet, and that's okay. Everyone has their own thing, and I think it's very disrespectful to like have your feet up when someone next to you is saying, hey, that makes me uncomfortable. Please put your feet not next to me. I think that's pretty reasonable. I understand heels are the worst, okay? High heels, awful inventions. hate them. They're cute. They are so uncomfortable. Do you know how long it took me to find high heel shoes that don't make me want to chop my feet off at the ankles? A long time, more than a decade. I don't think it would have been unreasonable to say, okay, I will take my feet off the seat, but my feet hurt so badly. If I promise not to put them up here, like, can I just leave them down there? Like, when he started backing off about putting her shoes back on, she should have taken that. That's respectful. That's a compromise. I would probably have done exactly that. Like, knowing me and knowing how I am in my own car, I probably would have done exactly that. Gotten in the car, taken off my shoes, and sat cross-legged, because that is what I do just involuntarily. That's my habit. But I'm also in the passenger seat. Like, if I was sitting in the back seat next to people, I would not do that. Just so that we're clear. But even if I was sitting like that in the passenger seat, and someone in the back seat was like,
I really don't like feet. Can you put your shoes back on?
Because like if I'm in the passenger seat and they're diagonal, like they'd be able to see me, you know? I would still then say, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make you uncomfortable. I'll put them down. And if people complained about my feet smelling, let me tell you, I would be mortified. I would put my shoes back on so quick. Literally all they would have to do is,
Someone's feet smell in here.
and I would just assume it was me, and I would just quickly slip them back on and pretend like nothing happened. Oh yeah, weird, don't know who that would be. I would just assume it was me, whether it was or not. For you to say, oh, I was in heels all day long, but there's no way that my feet smell bad. Ma'am, I'm sorry. I don't think your body odor smells like potpourri. I just think it's very rude to be like, you know, we're in the back seat, because where else would they be if they're sitting next to each other? Meaning that her feet are like an inch or two away from him. She's, oh, they're not touching. Well, they're probably like a good couple inches away. And she's like, yeah, you have a problem with feet, but you know, I don't want to move, so you're just gonna have to look at them. You're gonna have to smell them. And that just is the way that it is, because I'm the only one that matters in this car. And it's not even her car. And I get, okay, it's not his car either, but it's someone else's car. Who are you to decide that someone who's uncomfortable in the car has to get out and go walk so that you can sit how you want? That's rude. It's not your car. That's an entitled attitude that I don't like. And then you got an attitude with your husband who stood up for you in the moment and then later came back and was like, I don't know if you acted appropriately. And I stuck up for you because like that's what I as a husband wanted to do, but I'm just letting you know, I think that he handled that great. How else did you want him to handle it? Did you want your husband to call you out in front of other people? I know plenty of people who would say that he handled it perfectly, standing up for her in the moment and then taking her aside later and saying like, oh, I don't know if I wouldn't have done that. Plenty of people want that to be how their spouses come to them and things like that. I just think this is entitled and rude and I'm not a fan, so I'm going bad apple. Bad apple for just blatantly not caring about the other people in the car. Bad apple for saying, oh yeah, this isn't my car, but I'm gonna kick you out if you don't want me to do what I want. You can walk. Excuse me? Goodness, the last couple of weeks we've had a lot of bad apples. They're getting bold. They're not trying to hide from me anymore. They're coming out of the woodworks. We have 3 bad apples and 1 good apple today, at least me. Those are my votes, that's what I got. I wanna know what you guys got. Was it similar, different? I'm sure a lot of people have different votes than me today, because I think a lot of these, there are a lot of different perspectives that you can take, and that is okay. Even on the feet one, I'm sure there will be people that have different opinions, and that's all right. I would love to hear your reasonings. I would love to see the conversations. As you guys know, I say this every week. I can't always comment on every thread, but I do read absolutely as much as I can. For your well wishes today. The one about the scammer, for some reason, is making me think about spam risk calls. So I hope the telemarketers and the spam risk calls, I hope you don't get any of those calls for the next week. I hope they leave you alone. I hope they delete your number. I hope they actually take you off their lists. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. And as always, if you guys want any of your stories to possibly be on a future Am I the Bad Apple, you can send in your story to my subreddit, r/Am I the Bad Apple, or to my Discord. That link will be in the bio. Bye, my lovelies. Mwah.